Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here. Now, this is an interesting thing to talk about. I was talking to PETA from Wisconsin. That's my New England accent coming out. PETA from Wisconsin in the last segment. And the leaky gut syndrome is a worthwhile thing beating around the bush with for, 5 or 10 minutes. So let's do that. So the job of your digestive tract is to digest, assimilate, and eliminate stuff that you've just eaten and drunk. So you swallow something, it goes into your stomach. Stomach's a big bag of acid. It's the stomach's job to chemically digest whatever it was that you just swallowed, and it turns it into a soup. The stomach, the gastric juice of the stomach turns what you just ate into a soupy mixture. It's supposed to make everything liquid because it's basically a big bag of acid. And in past episodes of this show, I've taught you how the only way that's going to that's actually going to happen is if your stomach has the raw materials necessary to make really strong stomach juice, really strong gastric juice, really strong acid in the stomach, and you need salt with iodine in it and calcium in order to pull that off. You need salt and calcium in order to make your stomach acid strong and up to the job at hand, all right? Well, all right, so let's say your stomach acid is, in fact, strong and, up to it. So you swallow something, your teeth mash it up, you swallow it down, and now your stomach chemically digests it. And so the liquid digested stuff that you just ate leaves the stomach and enters into the small intestine. There's, 9 to 12 feet of small intestine in your body, depending on who you talk to, depending on your size, depending on your sex, right? And the small intestine is a long tube, and if you cut the small intestine in half and look at it, it's like a shag carpet inside the small intestine. The carpet, metaphorically being a tissue referred to as villi, they're like little octopus tentacles, and on top of the villi there are microvilli, leading to the interesting fact that there are billions with a B of tissues in the small intestine, the job of which is to absorb nutrients into your bloodstream. So now you've chemically digested something, hopefully. It's washing downstream through the small intestine. And the small intestine also continues the digestive process by adding pancreatic acid and bile from the gallbladder into the mix to further digest food and help your body to chemically digest the food further and further. And the end game here is to break the food down into such a small molecular size that the microvilli of the small intestine are able to stick on to the nutrient and transport it, pull it, just like an octopus tentacle reaching out and grabbing a fish and bringing it into the octopus's mouth. Well, the microvilli reaches out, grabs onto a molecule of something that you've just digested, and process it through the intestinal wall into the bloodstream. It's pretty cool how all that happens. So, again, this leads to an ironic situation that whatever is inside of your intestinal tract is on the outside of the body. Ha! How about that? Remember, your intestinal tract is like a long tube. It starts at your mouth and it ends, at the South Pole, right? Starts at your mouth and ends at the South Pole, ends at the rectum. And it's a long tube, and whatever is inside that tube is outside the body. How about that? Stuff doesn't get inside the body, technically, until it absorbs through the wall of the small intestine and gets into the bloodstream. Now, this is where the immune system lives. I bet you didn't know that either. Immune system central headquarters is in the network of blood vessels immediately surrounding the small intestine. It's the border guard. You go to Canada, you go to Mexico, you go to France, you go to Spain, you leave the United States, you leave Australia, you leave Canada, wherever you go, you're crossing international borders, you got to go through customs, right? You have to meet the border guard at some point in time. You got to pass through customs. Well, it's no different with the human body. when you eat something and it's chemically digested and then the villi and the microvilli absorb it into the bloodstream, when it passes from the intestinal tract into the bloodstream, it meets the immune system. Isn't that interesting? Immune system central headquarters is in the network of blood vessels and capillaries immediately surrounding the intestinal tract, and the anatomical term for those tissues are the greater and the lesser omentum. That's O-M like Mary, E like Edward, N like Nancy, T like Thomas, U-M, omentum. It's like a pancake of blood vessels. It lies on top and on bottom of the intestinal tract, the front and the back of the small intestinal tract, depending on your perspective, the greater and the lesser omentum. This is where the immune system lives. This is where immune system central headquarters is. And so you eat something, it dissolves through the intestinal milieu, the intestinal villi. Now it's in the bloodstream, and it meets the immune system. Now the immune system gives it a pass or a fail. And if it gives it a pass, everything's okay. If it gives it a fail, well, that's not good. All manner of things happen when the immune system gives something a fail. There are a number of different components of the immune system. You know, the immune system can call out the SWAT team. The immune system can call out the Coast Guard. The immune system can call out the CIA. They can call out the local police. The immune system can call out the fire department. There are all of these aspects of the immune system that can be turned on, brought to the scene of the crime, so to speak, once the immune system gives whatever it is that you've just eaten a fail. There are a number of different immune mechanisms that can be stimulated here, right? Now, one of the mechanisms that is stimulated here is the production of something by the body called an antibody, all right? So let's say you have a leaky gut. All right, so let's back it up a little bit, all right? So let's say that you are unwittingly eating all of the wrong food for your body. You're eating wheat, barley, rye, and oats. You're eating oil, salad dressing oil. You're eating fried food. You're eating well-done red meat. You're eating meat that has nitrates added as preservatives. You're washing down food with carbonated beverages, and you're eating the skins of baked potatoes, yams, and sweet potatoes, all of the wrong food for the human body. But you don't know that they're the wrong food. Well, what happens when you eat food that's wrong for the human body? Well, one of the things that happens is the villi become damaged. The villi can also become damaged from exposure to radiation, from exposure to crap in the air, crap in the water, and crap in the food, right? Bad chemicals and toxins and bacteria that have gotten in there can damage the villi. There's any number of things that can damage the villi, but interestingly enough, from our position, from our point of view, the big bad voodoo daddy of villi damage is gluten, which is the protein found in all things of whole wheat. Wheat, barley, rye, and oats. This is what killed Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson had, leaky gut on steroids, for goodness sake. Michael Jackson's intestinal tract was so compromised in its ability to absorb stuff, he couldn't even absorb drugs. So the pain meds that they were giving him to manage the massive amounts of musculoskeletal pain that he had, they had to inject into his veins. He couldn't absorb them through his gut. He couldn't. So they had to inject him, and they overdosed him by accident, I'm assuming, and killed him, right? So you don't know what you don't know. Not even Michael Jackson knew this, and more's the pity. So, you eat wheat, barley, rye, and oats, and now when you eat them, the gluten in them damages the intestinal villi, and now you've got damaged villi. And damaged villi is one of the aspects of leaky gut. So now, microscopically, you've got little holes in the small intestine that stuff can sneak through. So it does. So now you've got a big molecule of, chicken egg. You just ate an omelet for breakfast. Tasted pretty good. You put salt on it. Your stomach digested it, but you had a leaky gut and you didn't know it because you ate that omelet with a nice big piece of wheat toast. Holy smokes, that's not good. So you've got damaged villi, you've got little microscopic holes in the intestinal tract, and now a big molecule of egg, chicken egg, sneaks into the bloodstream through one of the microscopic holes. Instead of being transported into the bloodstream through the villi, it slips through the crack in the fence. It sneaks across the border, and now it's in the bloodstream. Well, when you have a big molecule of chicken egg in, for instance, chicken egg protein in the blood, where there should only be an eeny-weeny-teeny molecule, the immune system recognizes that as an invader and gives it a fail. So what does it do next? Well, the immune system gloms onto the big chicken egg protein and starts to make antibodies against that protein. The body will actually make antibodies which code now for chicken egg. And then the antibodies break off of the egg protein, and the immune system comes in and dumps acid onto the chicken egg protein to dissolve it and get rid of it. Imagine that. It kills the chicken egg protein through oxidative damage. How about that? It uses oxidative damage, hydrogen peroxide, to kill the chicken egg, to dissolve it. That's crazy, right? But that's one of the things that the immune system does in its own defense. All right, so now it's gotten rid of the big molecule of chicken egg protein, but now you have antibodies floating in your blood to chicken egg protein. So the next time you eat a chicken egg, even if it's digested thoroughly, the antibody does not code to the size, it codes to the protein structure. So now you have developed an allergy to the chicken egg, or the allergy to the chicken, or the allergy to milk, or the allergy to peanuts, or the allergy to whatever it is that you're allergic to. This is one of the main vectors, the genesis of a food allergy is leaky gut. And what's the major cause of leaky gut? Wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Go figure. Stop eating your Wheaties. Stop eating your Wonder Bread. Stop eating your whole grains. They're killing you, for goodness sake. Let me help show you the wisdom of science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. We're going to talk about how to fix all this nonsense when we come back. Let's get into it here, right? So now you've got a leaky gut, and now you have an allergy to a chicken egg. So every time you eat a chicken egg, you're going to have an allergic reaction, and your body can have any number of different types of allergic reactions to things based on whether they called out the CIA, the local police, the fire department, or the Coast Guard when the immune system got triggered, right? There's any number of different immune responses that your body has. You can have a delayed immune response. You can have an immediate immune response. And there's a couple of immune responses, quite frankly, I don't think the scientific community knows anything about. It's a complicated process of checks and balances, a very complicated, sophisticated process of checks and balances. Now, the allergic reaction that we're all aware of is, the kid with the peanut allergy. He eats something that's got peanuts in it, his throat swells up, and you got to transport him to the ER, give him the EpiPen, or he's going to die because he can't breathe. Well, that's called an immediate hypersensitivity reaction. And, one of the great things about modern American medicine is they figured out how to fix that, or they haven't figured out how to fix it, but they've figured out how to help you recover from the acute attack so that you don't die, which is a good thing. Who wants to see a little boy or a little girl die just because they ate a peanut, for goodness sake, right? So again, emergency medicine, this is the domain of the allopath, and thank God for that. Thank God for Novocaine, right? Thank God for the sterile technique, for goodness sake. But in any event, there's also something called a delayed hypersensitivity reaction, which is something that most allergists, most allopathic MD allergy specialists know nothing about. They know nothing about it, which is all the more reason to fire your MD now, because you can have something called, a delayed hypersensitivity food allergy, where you eat that chicken egg and you have a delayed hypersensitivity reaction to it, and it makes you sleepy after you eat it because your immune system becomes energized. Part of your immune system becomes stimulated. And when your immune system becomes stimulated, you get sleepy. Why? Because your body, when the immune system is stimulated, your body is in fix-it mode. And when your body is in fix-it mode, it tries to put you to sleep. Because when you're asleep, it can use the energy of your body to help your body fix it. This is why when you get sick, you get sleepy. It's because when you're asleep, your heart's not beating as fast as it is when you're up and moving and walking around. When you're asleep, your mind is not as active as it is when you're conscious and up and around and moving, right? There's only so much energy that's available to your body at any moment in time. And when the body is in fix-it mode, because the immune system is stimulated, it wants to put you to sleep, because when you're asleep, it has much more energy that it can use to help your body fix it. It's interesting, isn't it? I bet you didn't know that. That when you get sick, the reason that you're tired and you want to just stay in bed all day long is because your body is trying to conserve its energy, because it's using the lion's share of your body to fight whatever it is that made you sick. You know, the virus or the bacteria or the crap that was in the water that you drank when you went to Mexico on vacation or whatever. All right. So an delayed hypersensitivity reaction is characterized by feeling sleepy after you eat something that you're allergic to. And this is also one of the other things that happens is when the immune system becomes stimulated, so you eat a chicken egg and you have antibodies to it, and now the immune system is stimulated in a delayed hypersensitivity reaction. So, all right. So one of the things that happens when that happens is your pulse quickens. Your heartbeat quickens. It's one of the things that the immune system does. It quickens your heartbeat. And this leads to the old-fashioned naturopathic diagnostic test of figuring out whatever food it is that you're allergic to. So we would have people sit down and take their pulse and then write the number down and then eat a couple of spoonfuls of something that they think they're allergic to, wait 10 minutes and take your pulse again. And if your pulse has accelerated by a noticeable amount, over 10 beats per minute, you're probably allergic to that food. And that's an old-fashioned, down-and-dirty naturopathic diagnostic technique to figure out what specific foods you're allergic to. Now, all right, so what about the poor soul who, followed Betty Crocker's advice and ate all these whole grains their whole life, and now they've developed an allergy to chicken eggs because the intestinal milieu has been compromised? Is it possible to recover from a food allergy? Is it possible? You bet your bippy it's possible. I'll tell you how to do that when we come back. Stick around, folks. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. This is Fire Your MD Now. www.fireyourmdnow.com. Make sure you put in the now. fireyourmdnow.com for my website for information about the online health recovery program, the free newsletter, and everything that we do, the lecture schedule, the longevity opportunity is a lot of information there on that website. Check it out and give us feedback. 866-582-9933 is the number here. Okay, so here's the deal, right? So now, I want to clarify a couple things before we move forward here. If you have a blood sugar problem, a problem metabolizing blood sugar, you can eat something that has carbohydrate or sugar in it and get sleepy after the fact also. That doesn't mean you're allergic to it. That means you have a blood sugar problem. So just trying to assess whether you're allergic to something or not through this challenge elimination method, eating a food and taking your pulse and seeing whether you get sleepy or not is a little tricky. Because if you have a blood sugar imbalance, then there's a carbohydrate that you ate, something that your body turns into sugar. It's possible that that will make you sleepy and you're not allergic to it. Well, so what the heck are we going to do? Well, there is a series of blood tests that you can take in order to try to get you in the ballpark of which foods your body is allergic to or not. And if you think that this is a problem in your life, and with most people it is, then the blood test is not a bad idea. The only problem is that in the wonderful world of food allergy blood testing, the methodology has not been perfected. And, it's a for-profit medical arena, and there are, people with not a whole lot of integrity involved in all aspects of society. So I'll tell you a funny story. When I was in medical school, naturopathic medical school in Seattle, Washington, the naturopaths are the ones who really have been on the front lines of this whole food allergy thing. We're really the profession that's responsible for bringing this into the public domain and for having medical professionals even start to talk about this, openly. And so the naturopathic community deserves a lot of credit for this historically, and it's because of the activity of the naturopathic profession that different laboratories around the country started developing food allergy blood tests. But again, the testing methodology hasn't been perfected. And there's something in laboratory testing methodology referred to as sensitivity and specificity. Sensitivity and specificity. This means, how good is the blood work? Are there going to be false negatives? Are there going to be false positives? How accurate is the blood test? And with testing, for instance, for Lyme disease, if you think you have Lyme disease, the blood testing is horrible. The Food and Drug Administration outlawed the only test that was good, and it was really good. It had a high degree of sensitivity and specificity. But you can't do that test anymore. I've talked about that before. I don't want to go down that road right now. But the point is, sensitivity and specificity of lab testing is very important. Otherwise, you're going to spend all this money for the lab test, and you're not going to know whether the results are reliable. So here's what we did. When I was in naturopathic medical school, we took one person's blood, and we drew 4, 6, 7, or 8 vials of this guy's blood. And we put the blood into 4 separate containers, or 8 separate containers, and we gave them all different names and different personalities, like, Jane Smith, 5'10", 150 pounds, Caucasian. Peter Jackson, 6'5", 250 pounds, black, right? And we sent the same blood with 8 different names. I think it was 8, might not have been 8, but with different names to one lab, and had the lab do their food allergy test, right? It's the same blood. Different names, same blood. So if the testing is sensitive and specific, we should have gotten the same results for everybody's name. But the results were all different because the testing methodology was corrupt. It wasn't good. There was only one lab that passed this test. It's called split sample. And when you do this is called a split sample, and good medical practitioners do split samples to new labs that they use all of the time as just part of their kind of background check to see whether the lab is doing a good job or not, or whether the lab's trying to cut corners with their testing. So now, again, remember, this was 20 years ago, and a lot's changed in 20 years. The only lab that passed the test 20 years ago was U.S. Biotech. They're a lab out of Florida. Now, it's possible that the laboratory industry has changed their ways, and that as time has gone by, there's more sophisticated testing that has lent the split sample testing to be more sensitive and more specific for food allergies, and I have been out of that loop for a while. So, however, because of my past experience, until I'm told differently by one of my colleagues, and I asked this question at the last naturopathic conference I was at a year ago, if, the testing methodology in the industry has changed, and everybody that I asked said, no, not really. So if I'm going to recommend somebody get a blood test to test for food allergies, the only lab that I'm going to recommend they do that with is U.S. Biotech. Check it out. Look it up online, U.S. Biotech. They're out of Florida. Now, I don't get paid by U.S. Biotech. I'm not on U.S. Biotech's dole. I don't even know the owner of U.S. Biotech. I have no idea. I don't even know what city they're in Florida, or what town. I have no idea. I'm not on U.S. Biotech's dole. I'm telling you that if I wanted to test somebody's blood to help determine what foods they were allergic to in a delayed hypersensitivity reaction, I would use U.S. Biotech. So, all right. So, by hook or by crook, you've figured out that you're allergic to 5 or 6 different foods, okay? You're allergic to chicken egg, you're allergic to salmon, you're allergic to tomatoes, you're allergic to strawberries, and you're allergic to cow's milk. Heaven forbid, all right? So, what do you do now? Well, what you must do is completely 100% avoid ingesting even a little bit of the food that you're allergic to. You can't even look at these foods. And here's why. Remember, when the food molecule snuck through the cracks in the gut, in the leaky gut, and got into the bloodstream and activated the immune system at the very first time, first blush, the immune system created antibodies to that protein. Now, antibodies don't last forever. Antibodies will die off. But every time you eat a food that you're allergic to, your body makes new antibodies to it. And, you know, the antibodies don't last forever, but if you keep making new rabbits, you're always going to have rabbits in your yard, right? That's how it goes. If you stop making rabbits, the rabbits are all infertile. There ain't going to be any more rabbits after a little while because they're all going to die out. Well, the same thing happens with antibodies. So you have to identify the foods that you're allergic to and just stop eating them. And nobody knows how long either. You would think that medical science would have figured this out, but they're too busy developing drugs that don't work rather than trying to figure out the nuts and bolts of simple stuff like this. The recommendation, generally speaking, in the community is if you have to eliminate a food that you either suspect or you know you're allergic to for 12 months, 1 year, 12 months in a row. All right? Now, of course, remember, that's one way that your body can create new antibodies to it, is if you're already allergic to it and if you eat it. So the antibodies remake themselves, and now you've got a whole new batch of antibodies, and you have to wait till those die off. But what was the originating cause? Well, the originating cause was the leaky gut. There was a little hole in the microscopic hole in the small intestine. Ha! You got to plug the hole. Otherwise, your body's going to probably, chances are high that the next time you eat something, it can be anything, you're going to develop an allergy to it. By the way, you can only be allergic to a protein. You can't be allergic to anything else. So if what you're eating has zero protein, that you can't develop an allergy to that. Isn't that interesting? So what was the originating cause? The originating cause was the leaky gut. What made the gut get leaky? Well, crap in the air, crap in the food, crap in the water, but the biggest vector, the biggest culprit, the biggest thing responsible for punching those holes in the intestinal villi, milieu, is wheat, barley, rye, and oats. It's a gluten protein. So the recommendation is identify the food that you're allergic to, foods that you're allergic to. Stop eating them for 12 months in a row. Stop eating the 10 bad foods, because the 10 bad foods will also damage the intestinal villi. And for a list of the 10 bad foods that we've developed, or we've determined, go to fireyourmdnow.com and sign up for my free newsletter, and you automatically get a list of the 10 bad foods. It's free. So you eliminate the foods that you're allergic to, you eliminate the 10 bad foods. Now you've got this whole list of foods that you're avoiding, and you just don't eat those. You don't eat the allergic foods for 12 months. You don't eat the 10 bad foods for the rest of your life. And by eliminating these foods, you significantly take the edge off of the digestive tract and give the digestive tract a chance to fix itself. Now, there's only one other thing you need to do that, right? What does the body need to fix itself? Come on, this isn't rocket science. I know you know this answer. Your body needs raw materials, specifically the 90 essential nutrients. So that's easy, right? Because we've got that down. So in order to support and promote the structure and function of the digestive tract, which the small intestine is an intimate part of, the recommendation is simple. It's one healthy digestion pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month. That's one healthy digestion pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month. And if you really want to step on the gas and increase the body's ability to fix itself, speed up the amount of time, shorten the amount of time that the body's going to take to fix itself, to speed up the healing process is what I'm trying to say. Z-Radical is never a bad add-on. And everybody in my frame of reference, in my sphere of influence, gets the selenium, because selenium really does a good job at helping your body to keep itself healthy. Selenium is responsible for so many physiological processes. You'd be a knucklehead if you didn't take it. So then, the recommendation to support and promote the structure and function of your gut, your digestive tract, if you have food allergies, 1 healthy digestion pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, 1 bottle of Ultimate Selenium per 50 pounds of body weight per month, and as much Z-Radical as you can afford. Start with 1 bottle a month, go to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 bottles of Z-Radical a month, and go crazy for Z-Radical, because it's really going to help in this regard. Eliminate the 10 bad foods for life, and eliminate the foods that you're allergic to for 12 months. And that's all that you need to do. Just give yourself time, and as time goes by, you're going to feel better and better. Your energy's going to get better and better. Your mood's going to get better and better. Your sleep's going to get better and better. Your aches and pains are going to get better and better. Your sex drive's going to get better and better. Your concentration's going to get better and better. Your fertility's going to get better and better. Your blood pressure's going to get better and better. Why? Because your body knows how to fix itself, and your body wants to fix itself, and now for the first time in its life, it's had the ability to fix itself, and that beats pharmaceutical medicine any day. So how far down the rabbit hole have we gone? I mean, how crazy is it, right? You know, we arrest the person who's driving down the street who has a little bit of cocaine on him, a little bit of marijuana. Meanwhile, HSBC, the biggest bank in the world, launders money, is caught laundering money for the Mexican drug cartels, and they get a fine and nobody goes to jail. Why? Because they're too big to fail. Pharmaceutical companies create drugs that are the leading cause of death in the world. Vioxx, the most famous, was supposed to be the pain medication to end all pain medications. You know, it didn't hurt your liver, didn't hurt your kidneys, didn't cause cancer, didn't burn a hole in your stomach. Only one problem with Vioxx, only one side effect, death. 500,000 people die from Vioxx. 500,000 people die because they took Vioxx on their doctor's recommendation. Nobody goes to jail. The companies find an eeny-weeny teeny amount of money. Nobody goes to jail. They kill people, and nobody goes to jail. It's crazy what happens here, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's insanity. And because, you know, it's like welcome to the monkey house. Welcome to the crazy bus. Everybody on the bus is crazy. The bus driver's crazy. But because everybody's crazy and the bus driver is crazy, everybody thinks it's normal. There was a movie I saw a long time ago. It was called, I'll think of the name in a minute. It was set in World War I in France. The King of Fools, I think. I can't remember. I'll think of the name of it in a minute. And it was about a town in France where it had been bombed out during World War I, and, you know, everybody in the village had fled to the woods. But there was an insane asylum in the village, and everybody left, but the people in the insane asylum stayed, and all the walls were blown down, and the people in the insane asylum left the insane asylum and started to go back to their old jobs in the village. So they just re-inhabited the village. And now the British Army sends a scout into the village in France to check it out, and he walks into the village, and he's dealing with all of these crazy people, but he doesn't know that they're crazy. And it was an interesting social commentary on who's really crazy here and what's going on. But the point is that you don't know what you don't know, and the medical doctors really don't know what they don't know. But because they're all on the crazy bus, they're not going to change what they do. The tiger is not going to change his stripes. So beware the integrative medical doctor, because they offer substandard, watered-down, quasi-holistic medical therapeutics, which are nonsense from my point of view. I mean, they're just nonsense, waste of time. You wouldn't expect a Democrat to be a Republican. You wouldn't expect a Republican to be a Democrat. And you would not expect a Zen Buddhist to be able to interpret the Old Testament for you, would you? It's not their wheelhouse. So go to the MD for surgery when surgery is necessary. Go to the MD for emergency medicine when emergency medicine is called for. And for everything else, go to us. Because healing is not some complicated, sophisticated thing that can only happen in multi-million-dollar high-tech facilities. Healing is easy. Your body knows how to fix itself, and your body wants to fix itself. You stick with me, stick with Dr. Wallach, stick with Longevity. I'll teach you how to be your own doctor. I'll teach you how to dial it in. I will show you how to support and promote your body's natural ability to fix itself. Because why? Because why not? For goodness sake, your body's trying to fix itself right now, and you've been mesmerized, hypnotized, and brainwashed by 100 years of pharmaceutical company propaganda trying to convince you that healing is complicated. Surgery is complicated. Healing is easy. It's as easy as breathing. Give your body the 90 essential nutrients. Stop eating foods that's gumming up the works. Give your kidney a little extra support, your liver a little extra support, your bones and joints a little bit of extra support, your heart a little bit of extra nutritional support. Whatever's necessary here, it's easy to do, folks. If you can pass the driver's license test, then I can teach you guaranteed how to support and promote your body's ability to fix itself. Check it out, fireyourmdnow.com. Sign up for the online health recovery program and meet me at the webinar tonight, 8 o'clock Central Time. 8 o'clock Central Time. I'm encapsulating everything that we talk about on the radio show right now, live, 8 o'clock tonight. You're going to love it. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow.